You're listening to Catalyst for Change, and my name is Jessica Huckabee, your host. I started this podcast to learn what makes people resilient after challenging events and how they've used those series of events as a catalyst for change in their life. You'll hear stories of resiliency and strength, so get ready, sit back, and be prepared to be inspired. Today, my guest is Erica Lynn. Erica is an established speaker who will take you on a journey as she shares her personal triumph over abuse and illness. She reveals how she overcame her tragic beginnings and found success and happiness using a method that anyone can implement in their own life. Her story allows you to self-reflect and see yourself in a brand new way. I wanted to let you know that this episode we had a little bit of recording issues, so keep that in mind. So we'll jump right into our conversation with Erica.
You will fall for anything when someone never showed you what standards are for yourself. So as a result of that, I was always searching for that love. I was always looking for the love in all the wrong places. We had a neighbor that lived down the street from us, and I kind of gravitated to him because I was like, well, maybe he'll show me that type of love and affection, that a father would show his daughter. And my mom, I was 13 years old by this time. And my mom would say, well, go over and wash his dishes. He'll give you a few dollars. You can go to the store and get what you want. And I would do that. So then one day she says, well, can you have him take you to the store? I need some potatoes and some other things for dinner. I said, sure, absolutely. So he took me to the grocery store. And on the way back, I remember trying to get in the back seat. And he says, no, why don't you ride up here with me? And I was like, no, I don't want to. So anyway, I end up riding in the front seat with him. And I remember sitting over as close as I could to the door. And he goes, well, why are you sitting so close to the door? I don't want you to fall out. I was like, I'm good. I'll hold on. And he grabbed me and he gently pulled me close to him. And, back then, all of the cars, they didn't have a center console. So it was just one long front seat. There was nothing separating him and I. And I just remember sitting there bracing my arms and my legs and my body, closing my legs as tight as I could, like putting that shield up, that armor, that defense armor, so that he couldn't break it. Well, at 13, my little armor did not, come protect me from a grown man. And he just began touching me and doing things that he shouldn't have done to a 13-year-old. So when we got home, I didn't tell anybody. But what I did do is I started running. I started running away. I started drinking. I started smoking. I started partying. I became very promiscuous. I was just started my life. My life began to be on the run from that point. At 17, I started stripping. That didn't pan out, so I started running. I met my first husband. We had 3 kids. That marriage was abusive. It was toxic. My self-esteem got pushed down even further by the time I left out of that marriage. So I started running again. Then I entered into another relationship and another relationship, another relationship. Then when I got married to my second husband, I just remember that like 8 months in, I said, I don't want to be married to him anymore. He's not good for me. That was another, bad relationship, because I can't blame it 100% on him, because I brought all my toxicity with me. I brought all the hurt. I brought all the pain. I brought all the things that was inside of me. I brought it into that marriage. So certain things that he did, it was because I gave him permission, in a sense that, oh, it's okay to treat me this way. It's okay to do, like, I didn't stand up for myself. I didn't have a voice. I didn't say no, And my father, he ended up coming back into my life 3 years. He passed away in 2017. So he came back in my life the last 3 years of his life. And when my stepmother had called and said, your father's in the hospital. This was 2 days after I put my ex-husband out the house. And I called him on the phone. I said, well, my dad is in the hospital. Can you meet me at the hospital? And he says, yeah. So we go to the hospital. We visit with my dad. We laugh and joke and everything. And so when we leave, he goes back, home, and I go back to my house. So 2 days later, I go to the hospital. I said, Dad, are you okay? Can you take any, I didn't want to tell him some bad information and he keel over. He was like, yeah, I'm strong as a bull. And I said, Dad, I want a divorce. And he says, what? What do you mean you want a divorce? I said, Dad, he's an ass. Oh, I can't cuss on your show.
That's okay.
Sorry. I just said, Dad, this marriage is not right. I was like, he's just not good for me. And I want a divorce. And my dad said, well, why won't you get a divorce? I said, here's the divorce papers right here in my purse. I was too, my self-esteem, my fight, my will was just too timid to, to file this divorce. And he says, so at that moment, he began pouring into me. He began loving me. He began teaching me things and talking to me. So by the time I left that hospital, I filled those papers out, filed that divorce. I left him. And, that was part of the precipice of, me working towards my healing point. That was just one of the things that helped me get to the point of where I am now. Began fixing one layer of the brokenness by my father coming back and pouring into me. It was a whole bunch of other resources that I had to use to help fix the other areas,
Oh, wow. So you were able to have that good relationship, which you've always wanted 3 years before, for 3 years before your father died. And he was able to give you that confidence and everything that you were missing from when he left when you were 13. It sounds like.
Yes. Yes. It was
and that helped build your confidence enough to, by the time you're done talking to him, and that one day you said, you know what, I'm confident enough. I love myself enough. My father loves me. And, I know I'm worthy and I can divorce this man that doesn't treat me right.
That's right. That's right. Sometimes all we need is somebody to believe in us enough until we start believing in ourselves.
Yes, and he did believe in you. And all that time he just wasn't able to tell you, but he was there somewhere and he believed in you. But just hearing it is so powerful. And that relationship that we have with our fathers as young women is so impactful for all the relationships with men that we have for the rest of our life. So yeah, I'm so glad to hear that he was able to give you that in his final years, really. And so
Yeah.
how did that help catapult you into a new stage of not having to take that kind of treatment from people and not running from the relationships to relationship that didn't work out?
Well, because I began to have some type of value for myself that I didn't have before, hearing those words from your father, I love you, Erica. I always knew you were going to be something. I always used to say, ever since you was a little girl, that you're going to be something great, that you're going to go far, and those were things that I heard all my life from other people. I
Mm,
just didn't believe it. And I didn't hear it from him. And for me to hear it from him, it was like, it was like healing one of those wounds, because like I said, I had so many broken areas in my life. My foundation was broken. My core was cracked, and I just kept
yeah.
adding on different layers, like, marriage, kids, jobs, houses, all of this onto a broken foundation. Till one day, after I didn't go back to college until I was 35 years old. After
Mm,
I graduated from college, my foundation just finally gave way and it cracked, and I hit rock bottom, and I had become suicidal. And I just felt like giving it all up. I couldn't take any more. I couldn't do any more. And this process of me hitting rock bottom was after my dad had come back. So I didn't tell him like that my depression and my issues ran a lot deeper than daddy issues.
mm-hmm.
I had a lot going on. So I just remember walking into this church one day, and I kept saying, I want to go and try out this church because it's closer to where I live. And I
Yeah.
went in there, and there was this pastor. He came on stage, and he had on some gym shoes and a jogging suit. I'll
Yeah.
never forget it. And I was like, what is this place? Like, what, because you're used to the pastors with the suits on and and the nice shoes, because that's the era that we were raised in. But when he opened his mouth, he was so profound. The words that came out of his mouth just touched my soul. I just began crying. I couldn't stop the tears from flowing. And I knew right then, like, this was my home and I'll be back again. So I remember going back 3 days later to Bible study. And after Bible study, he came up and he introduced himself. He says, I'm Pastor Leon. And I was like, I'm Erica Lynn. And I said, can I tell you something about me? See, at this point, I was ready to work for my healing. So you got to be willing and ready to do the work. I said, I've been crying every day for a year. He says, well, why have you been crying? I said, I don't know, but I can't stop the tears. I said, I go to work every morning. I sit at my desk and I turn my back to all my coworkers in my cubicle, and I cry every day from 8 in the morning to 11 in the morning, every single day. And after about 11, I shake it off and I go and interact with my coworkers, and you'll never even know that I have been over there in the corner crying every day. This went on every day for a year.
Oh my goodness.
And he prayed with me, gave me his cell phone number. And from there on, we began developing a relationship of like a father and a daughter, or like two friends, or how a pastor has with his disciples. And he just began to pour love into me. And I was like, wow, this is the first time that I had a relationship with a man that was nothing more than a God love, that he didn't want anything from me. He didn't care how I looked, none of that. And I just remember talking to him, and I said, what I want out of this process is, I said, not only do I want to be healed, not only do I want to be whole, I said, but I want to show up in this world as a respected individual. I want to be able to walk in a room and everybody see my authority that I carry, and the women respect me and the men respect me, and they don't look at me like, oh, I want to jump her bones,
or what can they get? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so I was like, that is something that I want. And so then my pastor asked me, then what do you want to do? I had told him I wanted to be a motivational speaker, and I told him I want to write a book. And you know what he said to me? He said, what is your book going to be about? I said, about my life. And he said, what is the ending of your book going to be about? I said, I don't know. He said, Erica, no one wants to read a book that does not have an ending. So you need to have an ending to your book. You need to have an ending to your story. And what that did for me, when I left there that day, I spent the next 3 to 4 years developing the end of my book, meaning I began fixing my life. I began fixing the ending of my story, ending, like putting a closure to all that pain and to that hurt. And then it all came out in the book. So it took me only 3 months to write the book, but I spent 3 to 4 years developing the content to go in the book, which i.e. was parts, healing parts of my life, healing parts of me.
Wow. So that pastor that you had that wonderful relationship with, like a father, like a friend, are you still friends? Do you still have a relationship with this person, the pastor?
Yes, absolutely. And I still go to his church. I haven't been, of course, since the pandemic, but he goes live on Facebook. So I'm able to see service,
Good.
on the internet. But he's a really good man. He's a really good pastor. And I just respect him to the fullest, because that was, like I said, that was the first time that I had a relationship with a man that he didn't look at me any kind of way, and I didn't look at him. I looked at him as like, not as if he was God, but as if he was in God's image.
A spiritual mentor, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I like that. And he was the one that encouraged you to look at the ending of your story. What's the ending going to be about? And so with keeping that ending in mind, you were able to say, hey, I want a different ending than what's going to happen if I, don't do anything with what's going on with your life. And you started to heal yourself based on looking at how you want your book to end. I really like that, keeping the end in mind.
Yes. It was fantastic, because like the beginning of the story, there was a lot of men that was in the process of my breakdown. They were a part of the breakdown. They were part of the reason. And in the end, God began to send men to heal me and help pick me back up and show me that I am important, to show me that I am worth more than I have always given myself credit for, because he sent one more man into my life additional. So I had 3 men in my life at one time working on me, right? And you never know how important everybody's role is, right?
Yeah.
Because the day I got baptized probably when I was 40 years old, maybe, or 39, probably about 40-ish. And my father, he could only see out of one eye, right? Because I forgot what the issue was, but I know he had, problems seeing. And so the pastor asked him, said, well, Erica, do you want anybody to come around the baptism pool? And I was like, yes, I want my father. And my father, he stood up so proud, and he began walking towards the baptism pool. But because he couldn't see, he almost walked into the water.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
my stepmom, she had to grab him, and go, okay,
Yeah.
Willie, you can't, that's enough. But that was great for me. So when he passed away in 2017, everything that I am now, I began developing it after he passed away.
Oh,
So he doesn't even
yeah.
know about me being a motivational speaker. He doesn't even know about the company I started. He doesn't know about the countless lives I help, the people I touch across the world through my podcast or just through the things that I do. He doesn't know this, but I just remember sitting in my office trying to write, I want to say it's chapter 5. And
Yeah.
there was parts in the chapter where I had to write about my dad. And I just be crying so hard, I couldn't even keep typing. And I
Oh.
remember one morning, it's like 5 a.m. I called my friend, which is the third guy. And he was like, what's up? And it's 5 a.m. Like, you don't call anybody at 5 a.m. And I just started telling him, well, I'm sitting here working on the book and I'm talking about writing the part about my dad. And I just started crying. And so my friend, he's learned how to shift my thought process. And he uses his own techniques, on me, because that's what works on me. And then we just start laughing and talking about other parts. And so next thing I know, it was 25 minutes later, I was in good spirits. And then he says, now go ahead and finish writing the book. And when I got off the phone with him, I just knocked out the rest of that chapter. And I didn't even cry anymore while I was doing that chapter, because he let me know that there's so many people that needs to read this book and how important it is for me to get it finished.
Oh, that's amazing. So that friend, that male friend, so you had three males that were actually good, wholesome, wonderful influences in your life that helped switch your attitude about relationships with men. It shift the dynamic because they respected you and loved you and cared for you so much. And so what did your friend do to help shift that thought process when you were trying to write? Is there any tools that you can share with us or things that he
Well,
did?
it's just like his own special way that he does things,
Yeah, maybe joking or
Follow him.
something.
Yeah, yeah. And he's just a great conversationalist. And because like he knows so much about me, we have been friends for about 8 years. So he knows so much about me. And I was able
Yeah.
to be vulnerable and be transparent with him. So he kind of knew little things that he can say to make me laugh and trigger it off. But that's also part of a phase in healing where you have to have a support system.
Yeah.
You have to reach out and ask someone to help you. If you do not, then you're going to go through this all alone. And when you have those points of rock bottom, or you have those points of like you're doing good one day or one week and then you kind of fall off a little bit, these
Mm.
are points when you're supposed to reach out to someone that's in your support system and say, hey, I'm not having a good day. Hey, things are not going right for me. And that person knows what to do to kind of get you back on track so that you don't fall completely. So that is one of the techniques that we use, or that you are supposed to use. And I speak about it in the 7 techniques of healing, but you use this along with, other techniques as well. But developing a strong support system is important, because you need to be able to be vulnerable with someone to say, hey, that depression I deal with where I just feel like screaming and pulling out my hair. Yeah, I'm kind of having one of those days. And your
Yeah.
support system, they step in and they just talk you through it until you snap out of it. And then before you realize it, only 30-40 minutes went by, opposed to a week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks of a depression that you sinked into so low that you
Mm.
can't come back from it by yourself.
Yeah. Now you mentioned that support system, and that is really powerful, that tool to use. And you mentioned your book has seven steps. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, and then the other tools that may be like kind of a hint into what your book may be more about?
Well, the book was designed around an acronym. Sometimes I would have problems retaining or remembering things. And so I was like, how can I get on stage and give a speech and remember what I'm talking about? Or how can I, write this book and remember what's in the book?
Yeah.
So the word healing is centered around the acronym. The H is for heal, the E is for educate, A is action, L is leap, I is inspire, N is need, and G is grow. So if you take each one of those words, then you do exactly what it tells you to do. So the book is designed where it's going to give you tools, it's going to give you techniques, and at the end of each chapter, it's going to ask you questions. So I put some pages in there where you can write on the book, right? So I'm going to ask you some questions that you got to be real with yourself. Like you got to be honest, you got to be transparent, and you have to answer these questions, right? Now, just say that you lie about be untruthful.
Yeah.
You're not lying to me because I'm not there with you. It's just
Yep.
you in the book.
Yeah,
So
you're lying to yourself. Yeah.
That's right. So don't lie to yourself. Be open, be honest, and be transparent. And so the healing is the most important part of every phase that you go through. You must heal.
Yeah.
You have to begin to peel back the different layers in order to identify what your root cause is. And then you utilize the techniques in order to help you heal. Support system among with some other things, right? But I always say transparency is the most important.
So,
The next step is you have to educate yourself. So after you heal, now you have to educate yourself on like, what do you need next? What is my next step? What is the next phase? Do I need counseling? Do I need therapy? Do I need drugs? What is it that I need? You have to begin to educate yourself on what works for you. And then third is the last one I'll share with you is action. Because what good is it to heal? What good is it to be educated if you don't take action on those things that you learned? So you have to begin to take action and go full steam ahead. And when you take that step on action, just have faith that the steps that you're taking is the right steps. And as you're taking those steps, it's almost like your steps are guided and someone is guiding it. And you don't even know that you're being guided because you're walking in your path and you begin walking into alignment. And when you walk in alignment, things begin to like fix itself. It's almost like the universe began to step in and begin fixing things in your life. And so, you just begin to transition your thought process and the way you think about things. You're no longer a negative person. You begin to say, I am healed. I'm bold. I'm beautiful. I'm wonderful. I am successful. I can accomplish anything that I want to accomplish. And when you begin to speak that truth out of your mouth, that I always believe in the laws of reciprocity. What you put out in the atmosphere comes back to you. So when you begin to put all of those great things in the atmosphere, then all of these great things are going to start happening for you and to you, and doors are just going to start opening, and you're going to be like, oh, I was depressed because John left me. But then you get to choose over here when the door open. You can choose from Bill, Dave, and Sam, or you just like or the door closed, you get fired from your job. That can cause you to go into depression.
Oh yeah.
You get fired from your job. How I'm gonna pay the bills? How I'm gonna take care of my kids? How we gonna eat? How we gonna do this? And you just start having faith and you just start putting good things out there. And when you look over here to the right door, you got 3-4 job offers.
Yeah.
And I know it's not an easy thing to do at first, but it gets easier. Nothing, how does that saying go? Nothing worth having is easy.
That's true.
So you have to be willing to work hard in order to get your healing, to get what it is that you deserve in your life. Because
and take that leap of faith. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
If you don't go forward, nobody is going to go forward for you. You got to show people, life, the laws, the atmosphere that I'm willing to put my best foot forward. And it seemed like everybody began to pour into you to get to your purpose, to help you walk into your purpose.
And you mentioned inspire. So taking that leap, and then is that inspiring other people, or is that being inspired?
That is, well, when you are being inspired, you just naturally inspire other people.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's catching.
It's just the way it is. Like you having a conversation with your friends and your family, and you don't have any money. You're not saying, oh, I'm broke, I can't put food on the table. You just say, well, I'm overcoming a financial challenge right now, and I'm going out, I'm doing whatever I need to do to get this money. Yeah. And let me tell you how it works. I did that, not thinking. I was at work. Now I worked 2 jobs, plus I hustled on the side. And I barely had enough money to make ends meet, right? And I was talking to one of my coworkers at the hospital one day. And I was telling her, I've started this new business. You know, when you start a new business, you broke.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
So I was like, I started this new business. I was like, I have to pay for this and that. And I was like, that's okay. I'm just going to work a little harder. I'm already working like 60 hours a week, right? I was like, well, I'll just add another 10 hours to work, to my shifts to get that extra money. I'll just, pray a little harder. And I was telling her, like, and I'm just like I'm speaking to you. I'm happy. I'm full of life. I see the vision. I see everything. And she was like, good for you. So I go to I said, I got to go to the restroom. And she was leaving her shift for the day. I said, I got to go to the bathroom. If you're not here when I come back, God bless you and I'll see you. So, okay.
Yeah.
So when I go to the bathroom, I came back. She had left the money on my desk.
Oh, and that's just about the universe answering, or God answering that need that you may have, and how you inspired other people just by telling them your story. It sounds like.
Yeah.
And connecting on that
yes,
deeper level.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
So, yeah,
And
I was just gonna say, like, when you have purpose in your life, or you have when there's an assignment over your life, and you don't know that you have an assignment over your life, then there's people that's going to be called to you to protect you until you understand that you actually, what your assignment really is, like what your purpose really is, or what your calling is. And then they'll back up, because now you begin to realize what was inside of you the whole time.
So people are guiding you without even them knowing it, without you knowing it. There's people that come alongside of you and guide you through that until you're ready to take up the reins. And when you see it, oh, I like that feeling, because we're never alone. We're never really alone. There's always somebody that's looking out for us, and we have to believe that. It sounds like is what you're saying. So tell me what else you're doing these days. It sounds like you're a motivational speaker, and you wrote this wonderful book. And I'll make sure to have that information in the show notes. How else are you paying it forward and teaching others about how to live better lives?
Of course, like I said, we're doing the podcast. I like to talk to people during the podcast, give different tips. I do a Friday live at 5 on my Erica Lynn Speaks on Facebook and on YouTube. Erica Lynn Speaks on YouTube, and I might give you one tip and one technique, give you a solution on how to solve something that you're going through. And then if you go to my website on ericalynnspeaks.com/work with me, I have 3 different things that I do for people who, like, they say, well, okay, Eric, I know that I want to go further. I know that I want to work, do some work on myself, but I just don't know how to get started, right? I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get started. And so I offer them a free consultation, and it doesn't pay. You don't have to pay to learn how to get started. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want people to be willing to be open to say, well, at least let me talk to you, because that very first conversation changes a lot of lives. And so I'm offering you that first conversation. Let me see how I can help you. How can I help change your life? In addition to that, I created an online One Step Beyond You membership master course program. Inside of the program, you're going to get live bi-weekly live chats with me. I'm going to bring in other professionals that you can chat with live inside of the members program. The 7 Techniques of Healing book that I wrote, I created a master class, a 7 Techniques of Healing master class. So now you get to go through the 7 techniques live, in person, in action, like in reality, in real time. You know what I mean? Being able to go through a step, and then you come into the live chat. Okay, Erica, I done went through chapter 1, or I done went through step 1. This is what my result was. What should I do? And I'm able to guide you through it. And the professionals, they're able to come in and walk you through it. There's like a members forum in there. There's day planners, journals, like worksheets. Just, there's so many things that I put in this masterclass. I just wanted to make sure that I was able to hit pinpoints for everybody so that they can move to their point of healing. And what's the best part about healing? through this program, it's like, now, Erica, I want to start my own business. So I've helped people start their own businesses. They're like, okay, I'm ready to get married now, or I want to go back to school. I had a young lady, I told her about the program, and before she can even get into the program, we had a conversation so deep that she no longer is sitting in her car crying anymore. I spoke with this young lady today. She went back to school. She went back to school.
That's great. And that's a hard step to take.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, you go from crying one day and then by next week you're in school, because sometimes all you need is someone to listen to you
And
and give you
believe in you.
and
Right?
believe in you. That's right. And help give you that same guidance, the same guidance that I had, is the
Mm-hmm.
same guidance that I provide with my clients. I walk with you. And my job is to help you help yourself.
I love it. I love it. That sounds like a great program. And it sounds like it helps build a support system around you to heal whatever may be happening or to excel. Maybe you're healed and you want to take it to the next level. Sounds like it'll help you in either stage that you're at.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, wonderful. Now, is there anything that you can think of that we may not have covered on this conversation?
That I just want you to focus on you. I want you to be a little selfish today. And I know when we hear the word selfish, we look at it as a bad word, and it is not. Given the times that we're in due to the pandemic, you are a wife, you are a mother, now you're the at-home CEO, you are now the school teacher, and you are the maid, the chef, and if you have to drive the kids to their activities, now you are their chauffeur. And so I want you to take some time to be a little bit selfish and focus on you. Take some time to go get a pedicure, take some time to, exercise, ride a bike, do something to love on yourself. And when you take that time out for you and to love on yourself, then you are able to cope and deal with the other things in life until life kind of, go back to somewhat normal.
Yeah.
But if you don't take some time to love on yourself, then you're going to reach that same breaking point that I reached at one point or another in my life. So be selfish. Do one thing for yourself this week. Go get your nails done, get your hair did, do something. Just
Yeah.
take some time to love on you.
That's really good to say, because most people I know, if I'm a busy mom, wife, working full time, and that is really tough to do something for yourself, but it's such a small thing. It could be just a small thing. Well, thank
Mm-hmm.
you. Yeah, I really enjoyed our conversation, and I think people are going to get a lot out of what you have to say and the tools that you offer.
Yes, absolutely. And so, like I said, they can always, if they don't want to, if they say that they don't want to be in a group, they want me all to themselves, they can do so. I also have a one-on-one coaching program called Let Your Light Shine. And the reason why I titled it Let Your Light Shine is because so many of us dim our light. We dim who we really are. We dim what we want to do in life. But
Mm.
when you begin to pull out all those great things in you, you begin shining so bright. When you walk down the street, people go, "Oh, I want some of that. Give me some of that." um,
Yeah.
I want what she have. And so don't walk with your head held high. Let your
Yeah.
light shine so bright that it blind people like, whoa, and just do not be afraid at whatever comes at you in life. Step out on faith, and learn the tools. The most important thing I can tell you, if I don't tell you anything else, learn the tools and the techniques that if you have that wavering step, the tools that I've equipped you with, they're able to, like, you can sway, just like you're a boxer. You know how the boxer like moves out the way when you throw a
Yep.
jab. So these tools, they will equip you so that you can kind of sway back and forth and keep, instead of taking a full blow, you might just get a slight little hit, a little bump. but these tools, they will equip you to keep moving forward. And then I did do a motivational album called Never Give Up. And in this album, it's also going to give you tools. Like there's a piece called Motivating into Your Purpose. I give you 8 steps that shows you how to walk into your purpose and how to move forward in your life. And so you can find all the information that we discussed about today. All you have to do is go to ericalynnspeaks.com and go to the Work With Me page, and you'll find all of the tools, all the programs and things that I offer, you know. And of course I do other stuff outside of that. Like I'm a board member on a nonprofit organization where we help domestic violence and abuse victims. And, you know, I help mentor the kids. I just like, I do it all. Like
gotta
I will
stay
be here
involved.
all day. Yeah. We'll be here all day talking about some of the stuff I do, but, you know, but I thank you.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. It sounds like you're really involved in the community, which is really important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you so much for having me on your podcast. It was such a treat because you're a fantastic person.
Oh, thanks, Erica. And same to you. And it was a pleasure to have you on my show today. You've been listening to Catalyst for Change Stories. Tune in next week for another story of resiliency. Also, feel free to like us wherever you get your podcast and leave a rating. We can also be found on YouTube and Facebook.